The sun had barely begun its climb over the Lagos skyline when Maria Evans, quiet, composed, and meticulously dressed in a simple navy sheath dress, stepped out of her modest townhouse. Unlike the sprawling mansions nearby, Maria's home was unassuming: warm cream walls, a tidy front garden planted with bougainvillea, and a brass nameplate that read Evans Enterprises, founder and CEO. Few realized that behind those gilded letters lay a multi-billion naira empire. Maria's morning ritual was as disciplined as her boardroom strategy. By 6:45 a.m., she was seated at the wheel of a sleek black sedan driven by her chauffeur, James. Through the tinted windows, she watched city traffic pulse with early rush energy: street hawkers laying out wares, motorbike taxis weaving through the gridlock, office workers hurrying toward high-rises. Yet inside the car, she exuded calm, reviewing her mental checklist: a meeting with the finance team at 8 a.m., a factory visit at 10 a.m., and a lunch with potential investors at noon. At Evans Enterprises headquarters, a former colonial building renovated into a state-of-the-art workspace, Maria stepped into the lobby. She paused to greet security guards by name. "Morning, Chief Okoro. How's your daughter's exam preparation?" And a few clerks who smiled back with genuine warmth. She believed leadership began with kindness. By 8:10 a.m. she was in the glass-walled boardroom, outlining quarterly projections to a circle of anxious executives. "Maria, measured our West African expansion remains on track. We'll open 2 new distribution centers by Q4. I want full site inspections completed by Friday." CFO, nervous: "Yes, ma'am. We'll fast-track permits." Her voice was firm but never condescending. The team left the room invigorated rather than intimidated, a direct reflection of Maria's leadership style. Yet by late afternoon, back at home, a different atmosphere awaited her. She unlocked the front door to find Jack Evans sprawled on the sofa, scrolling through his phone. He glanced up with a practiced smile that faded almost immediately. "Jack," feigned warmth, "how was the factory?" Maria, setting down her briefcase. "Productivity's up 10%. We onboard 3 new clients today." Jack, shrugging, "That's good." He returned to his phone, and Maria tucked her hair back, forcing a polite smile. She poured herself a glass of water and excused herself to the kitchen, where she prepared a simple vegetable stew. As the aroma filled the room, she thought back on her journey: a scholarship to study mechanical engineering, a modest seed loan to start her workshop, countless nights balancing spreadsheets by lantern light when the power went out. All without Jack. She'd built Evans Enterprises herself. And yet, here she was, cooking dinner for the man who treated her achievements like trivia. ___. A week later, Maria and Jack arrived at a glittering charity gala hosted by one of Abuja's most elite families. Maria wore a tailored emerald gown, elegant but not ostentatious, while Jack looked dashing in a tuxedo. As they moved through clusters of philanthropists, Jack beamed, eager to parade his trophy wife. "Jack," loudly, to a group of investors, "isn't Maria simply extraordinary? Evans Enterprises practically runs this continent." The investors nodded politely, some exchanging impressed glances. Maria offered curt nods and soft "pleased to meet you" but she felt a prickling discomfort. Jack's praise was always obtrusive, as though her success were his to showcase. Soon, they joined a circle of media personalities. Flashbulbs popped as Jack delivered lines rehearsed to perfection. Reporter, smiling: "Maria, you've been called the Iron Lady of Industry. How does it feel?" Maria, gracious: "I feel privileged to work with such a dedicated team. Our growth is their achievement." Jack interjected before she could finish. Jack, bragging: "She's modest, but trust me, she's ruthless in negotiations. I always say, never get between Maria and her profit margins." Laughter rippled through the group, but Maria caught a flash of something in Jack's eyes, a hint of resentment, as though her achievements made him uncomfortable. She forced a laugh along with the others, but inwardly wondered, for someone so proud of my success, why did he always seem so bitter? After the cameras moved on, Jack took her elbow at the bar. "Jack, quietly hold that pose, darling. We need good carbon for tomorrow's papers." Maria, softly: "Jack, do you ever see me as more than the CEO's wife?" Jack's lips curved into a practiced smile, but his eyes remained distant. Jack, of course. You're also my partner in public relations. Maria's heart tightened. Partner, the word tasted hollow. Back home that night, Maria discovered more than an empty kitchen. The homemade stew she'd left to simmer was cold and congealed. Jack had ordered takeout. On the counter lay a paper bag from a swanky burger joint. Maria, softly, placing her hand on the bag. You didn't wait for me? Jack, from the study I was held up. When she entered the study, she found him poring over his phone. He barely looked up. Jack, you left hours ago. Maria, dinner was ready. I thought we... Jack, cutting her off. I'm busy. There's a new project I'm juggling. His tone, the casual dismissal, stung more than any angry shout. Maria closed the study door gently and retreated to her bedroom, where she sat on the edge of the bed, arms wrapped around her knees. Over the next few days, Jack's behavior grew noticeably colder. At a brunch with mutual friends, he lobbed a casual barb at her success. Jack, to a friend, Maria wouldn't know hard work if it bit her. All that boardroom talk, pretty slides and PowerPoints. Her friend's laugh died mid-chuckle as Maria stiffened. She caught Jack's eye across the table. He was smirking. The taste of humiliation rose in her throat, but she maintained her composure, smile intact. Later, in the car on the way home, Maria broke the silence. Maria, Jack, why do you speak about me like that? Jack, shrugging, I'm just being honest. People will always think you're lucky or that I'm the brains behind your success. Better they hear it from me than gossipers. Maria pressed her lips together. Gossipers, a deflection. Maria, I work hard. I deserve respect. Jack, of course. I respect you, in my own way. His way felt like a cloud over every room they walked into. __. Maria's keen intuition told her this was not mere marital tension, it was a profound shift in their dynamic. She began tracking Jack's late-night outings, phone calls to friends, unexplained business meetings at rooftop bars, text notifications silencing by bedtime. It was as if he was building a separate life, piece by piece, with deliberate distance from her glow. One evening, Maria confronted him gently as he slipped into their bedroom. Maria, softly, you've been out a lot lately. Is everything okay? Jack, coldly, I told you, I've got projects. Stop worrying. His dismissiveness cracked something in her heart. She folded her arms. Maria, I'm not worried. I'm disappointed. You used to tell me everything. Jack, briskly, we can't drag our personal issues into business, Maria. The words cut deep. Business, he'd weaponized the very realm she had conquered. Furious but keeping her voice measured, Maria picked up her laptop. Maria, if you feel so strongly about business, maybe you should lead. Let me see how it feels. Jack laughed with a cruel edge. Jack, please. I wouldn't survive a day. You're the one with the brains. Leave the empire to me, you're at home now. At home, the word tasted like ash. Maria closed the laptop slowly and met his gaze. Maria, you're right about one thing, I am at home here. She swept out of the room, leaving Jack standing in the doorway, stunned by her calm. __. That weekend, Jack met his college friend and erstwhile business mentor, Tom Bassie, at a chic rooftop bar overlooking Victoria Island. The city lights shimmered below as they sipped aged whiskey. Tom, sympathetic, you look like hell, man. What's going on? Jack, bitterly, Maria's changed. She's distant. And she's running the house and the company. I'm losing ground. Tom frowned, swirling his glass. Tom, but you two built it together, right? Jack, built? She built everything. I'm just the husband. Tom leaned forward, lowering his voice. Tom, advising, so take a stand. Remind her she can't walk all over you. No empire is worth your self-respect. Jack stared at the amber liquid. Jack, determined you're right. I'm tired of playing second fiddle. Back at home, Maria peeked through her bedroom door, overhearing Jack's muffled return. She caught sight of his expression, hardened, resolute. Something in her chest tightened, instincts both professional and personal warned her that a storm was brewing. The next morning, she found a curt note on the breakfast table, "I'm taking the day to sort things out. Don't wait up." No signature, no apology. But the message was clear, Jack was drawing a line in the sand. Maria sipped her tea and stared out at the garden. She felt a surge of clarity. Her kindness had never been weakness, it was her strength. And if Jack wanted a standoff, she was ready. She closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and whispered to herself. Maria, quiet resolve, let's see who really owns this house. In that moment, the humble beginning of their marriage ended, and the real battle for power had only just begun. The lobby of the Lagos Grand Hotel's ballroom buzzed with anticipation. Corporate titans in tailored suits, philanthropists in flowing gowns, socialites draped in diamonds, everyone had assembled for the annual Progress and Purpose Gala, a fundraiser to benefit underprivileged youth. Maria Evans had agreed to MC the evening, even though every cell in her body told her to stay away. But pulling out now would appear weak, and Maria never gave others ammunition. At precisely 7 p.m., she swept through the doors in a midnight blue gown so simple it was almost austere, yet her presence lent it gravitas. Jack hovered at her elbow, smiling like a proud spouse, but Maria felt his fingers dig into her arm through his tuxedo sleeve. He wanted control tonight. Moments later, Maria took the stage beneath a grand chandelier. Microphone in hand, she addressed the crowd with her trademark calm authority. Maria, clear, measured good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us at Progress and Purpose. Tonight, we celebrate not only our success but the promise of tomorrow. The audience responded with polite applause. Everywhere she looked, she saw the smiling faces of people who believed she, and Evans Enterprises, could move mountains. And she would. Backstage, Jack fumed. He muttered to his mother, Helen, who stood beside him in a sleek lavender dress. Jack, whispering, this whole MC Maria thing is a joke. She's no public speaker. Helen, hissing, Jack, if you would stop undermining her every chance you get, maybe she'd relax. Jack's grin was brittle. Jack, relax? She's turning this into her own company promotion. Watch her hog the spotlight. Helen frowned but said nothing. As Maria concluded the formalities and introduced the dinner, the lights dimmed and spotlights darted across the ballroom. Jack seized his moment. In a voice loud enough to carry, he called out. Jack, feigning joviality, before you tuck into that fantastic dinner, let me say a few words about my lovely wife, who, by the way, spends her days counting paperclips and posting quarterly reports while I'm out here making real deals. A hush fell. Maria blinked at him in stunned silence as Jack's words ricocheted through the room. Jack, smirking honestly, I don't know how she does it, sitting behind a desk all day, crunching numbers, checking endless spreadsheets, all while I'm the one shaking hands and bringing in fresh partnerships. Laughter rippled from the front rows, shock and uneasy titters followed behind. Maria's cheeks burned. She gripped the podium to steady herself. Maria, voice steady, but low, actually, Jack, if you'll allow me. But Jack waved her off, raising a glass of champagne. Jack, loudly, no, ladies and gentlemen, let's toast to the real business mind of this partnership, me. Cheers. Glasses clinked. Maria's vision blurred for a moment. She heard her name whispered, saw colleagues ducking their eyes. Her self-control snapped. She stepped forward, unplugged the mic, and glanced out at the crowd. Maria, calm fury, thank you, Jack, for that enlightening introduction. The hush deepened. All eyes locked on her. Maria lifted her chin, voice crystalline. Maria, for those who don't know, Evans Enterprises didn't grow on luck. It took early mornings, late nights, and a vision that refused to quit. And yes, Jack, while you may have graced a few cocktail receptions, I've been in the field securing factories, negotiating supply chains, and ensuring this company stays solvent through global downturns. A ripple of applause followed. Jack's smirk faltered. Maria pressed on. Maria, so I appreciate your toast, but let's not confuse the champagne glass with the hard work behind it. Turning on her heel, she strode from the stage. Behind her, the music resumed, an awkward ballroom waltz, but few cared to dance. Jack remained frozen, his toast undone. That night, as Maria departed the gala in her black sedan, she felt a surge of vindication. But she also felt a storm gathering. Jack's humiliation was real, and she knew he would fight back. 2 days later, Maria walked into the Evans family home, a sprawling villa in the Ikoyi district she learned years ago that she actually owned outright, funded by a trust she'd set up before her marriage. Today, Mrs. Helen Evans awaited her in the foyer, her posture immaculate, lips pressed into a disapproving line. Helen, coolly Maria, your public display was theatrical. Maria paused, smoothing the fabric of her tailored blazer. Maria, measured, it's becoming rather theatrical that Jack belittles me. I thought family loyalty meant support. Helen sniffed. Helen, support? Maria, you're cutting Jack's legs from under him. You don't understand Southern culture. A husband must be master of his home. Maria's eyes narrowed. Maria, I understand respect, mother. I also understand ownership of both the house and the company. Yet you're here lecturing me as though I were a tenant. Helen's cheeks paled. She opened her mouth, but Maria continued. Maria, I kept quiet because I honored this marriage. But now that Jack's ego is bruised, you feel justified to gang up on me. Helen's gaze flicked to the grand staircase, where Jack appeared, fresh from a business meeting. His face was stony. He stepped forward. Jack, coldly Maria, what brings you here? Maria, I came to remind you that this villa, and everything under this roof, is mine. I don't intrude on Jack's endeavors, please don't intrude on mine. Helen's lips trembled. She shot Jack an exasperated look. Helen, Jack, honestly. Jack frowned at Maria, flicked a glance at his mother, then at the opulent decor he assumed was his right. Jack, quiet rage, why are you making this about property? Can't we just be civilized? Maria's expression softened, but resolve remained. Maria, civility begins with honesty. If you can't respect me as partner and spouse, there's no veneer of civility to maintain. With that, she turned and left, her heels clicking deliberately on the marble floor. Behind her, Helen reached for Jack's arm, but Jack yanked away, eyes haunted. Helen, whispering, you'll regret this. That evening, tensions spilled over. Maria, exhausted from back-to-back site visits, returned home to find the front door slightly ajar. Inside, papers were strewn across the living room floor, estate documents, corporate ledgers, family photographs. Jack stood amid the chaos, phone pressed to his ear. Jack, into phone, yes, I want everything on her, financial disclosures, property deeds, shell companies. Dig until we find something to stick. Maria's blood ran cold. Maria, stepping forward, you ordered a forensic audit? On me? Without looking up, Jack barked. Jack, you're hiding something. I want proof you're the puppet master. Maria shut the door, heart pounding. Maria, you know exactly who runs this company, and who funds this home. Jack whirled around, face contorted with fury. Jack, I demand you leave. Now. Pack your things. You've manipulated me long enough. Maria's mind raced. He was evicting her from her own home. She took a steadying breath. Maria, you're evicting the owner? Jack, voice rising, you're not above me in this marriage. Not anymore. Maria felt tears prick her eyes, then blinked them away. She stepped closer, level with him. Maria, Quiet fury, I am the owner. You have no authority here. Jack's hand clenched into a fist. Jack, how dare you? Maria lifted a hand. Maria, enough. Pack my belongings yourself, if you must. Or call movers, your choice. Jack hesitated, struck by the calm steel in her voice. He stormed out of the room. Maria's assistant, loyal Aisha, slid in behind her. Aisha, softly ma'am, can I handle it? Maria managed a small, sad smile. Maria, yes, Aisha. Begin tonight. As Maria watched Aisha gather her personal effects, she realized nothing would ever be the same. Within an hour, Helen arrived again, this time flanked by Jack's lawyer. Maria stood at the top of the grand staircase, watching them climb. Jack hung back, jaw clenched. Helen, smugly pack your bags, Maria. You're leaving today. Maria's gaze was icy calm. She lifted the satchel from her arm. Maria, thank you for notifying me. I was wondering when someone would inform the owner she's no longer welcome. Helen blinked. The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Lawyer, clearing throat, Mrs. Evans, your husband has filed for a separation. He intends to take control. Maria's laugh was soft but carried down the stairwell like a bell. Maria, control? Pardon me, but I control everything. Would you like to see the title deeds? Or perhaps the corporate share registry? Helen's face paled, color draining. Jack's jaw dropped. The lawyer rifled through folders, then found what he sought, a set of notarized documents, every asset, every share, every property, vested in Maria's name long before their wedding. Lawyer, stunned Mrs. Evans. I don't understand. Maria walked down the stairs, each step measured. She stopped before them. Maria, coldly let me be perfectly clear, this house, this company, and everything you presume is yours is legally mine. If you want me gone, you'll have to buy me out at market value. Helen's mouth worked wordlessly. Jack looked as though the floor might open beneath him. The household staff peered out from behind doors, gawking. Jack, voice cracking, you set me up? Maria's gaze softened, just a fraction. Maria, I set us up. I built us a life. You chose to betray it. Leaving Jack to scramble for words, Maria turned and exited. That night, the story leaked, courtesy of Jack's panicked mother calling her socialite friends. Morning brought a deluge of messages. Is it true Maria owns everything? What will happen to Jack's business? Is divorce imminent? In her private study, Maria poured black coffee and opened her laptop. The first notification was from the Lagos Business Review. Headline, Corporate Queen Banishes King, Maria Evans seizes control in marital power play. She sighed, leaning back in her chair. Aisha knocked and entered with breakfast. Aisha, they're calling you a corporate diva. Maria smiled wryly. Maria, if they only knew how softly I tread. Outwardly, Maria filed papers to formalize an immediate injunction. Jack would have no access to company bank accounts or the villa until the courts decided. She leaned forward to type, knowing this legal twist was merely a beginning. Meanwhile, Jack sat in their grand foyer, alone among furniture that he now realized he'd assumed as his own. His phone buzzed, messages from former clients canceling lunches, investors seeking clarification, social media exploding with hashtags like #MariaWins and #JackLost. His empire was unraveling, publicly, and he had only himself to blame. By dawn, eviction notices and cease and desist letters littered the mailbox. Jack tried to dial Maria's number, but her phone was off. He mashed call and call again, like punching a hole in reality. In her bedroom, Maria placed her wedding ring into a small velvet box, a symbolic severing. She smoothed the gown she'd worn to the gala, now stained in her memory by Jack's humiliation. With a final exhale, she zipped the box closed and slid it into her desk drawer. The legal machinery was in motion. Notices served. Court date set. Overnight, Maria had gone from betrayed spouse to undisputed sovereign of her world. As the city stirred to life under Lagos's sunrise, Maria Evans allowed herself a moment of reflection. She had lost friendship, trust, and the comfortable delusion of a perfect marriage. In return, she'd reclaimed her dignity, her property, and her company. Tomorrow, she would walk into the Evans Enterprises headquarters as its unchallenged CEO, and she would build a new future, free from arrogance and entitlement. And Jack, once so sure of his place, would have to start from scratch, learning the hard way that kindness is never weakness, and that power rightly earned cannot be taken by force. The morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Jack's penthouse loft, but its light felt harsh and unforgiving. Jack Evans sat slumped at the edge of his king-sized bed, staring blankly at his reflection in the polished marble floor. His phone lay face up on the carpet, dozens of missed calls flashing, colleagues, friends, family. None had left messages beyond terse texts, "We heard. Are you okay? Call me when you can." He closed his eyes, mind replaying the Gala humiliation, the eviction, the legal bombshell, all broadcast across social media and news outlets. He felt the weight of every whisper, every sidelong glance. Seen, the boardroom cold shoulder. By mid-morning, Jack trudged into his former office at Evans Logistics, once his pride, now an empty shell. He found his longtime confidant and COO, Michael Obina, behind the desk. Michael's eyes flicked up briefly, then returned to the spreadsheets on his screen. "Jack, voice hoarse Mike, can we talk?" Michael, without looking up, "Sure, Jack. Later today. I have a million things to handle." Jack's heart sank. Later today was corporate code for "we're distancing ourselves." In the hallway, he overheard murmurs among junior executives. Assistant, whispering, "Is it true Mr. Evans got kicked out by his wife?" Intern, uneasy, "I heard she's the real owner. He's completely bankrupt emotionally." Jack's chest tightened. He stormed to the cafeteria, hoping for camaraderie, but found only empty seats and pitiful glances. Seen, the dinner party backlash. That evening, Jack's social circle gathered for a farewell dinner he'd hastily organized, an attempt to rally support. He arrived at Bella's bistro to find half the invited guests gone. At a large round table sat his college friends, but their smiles felt forced. Friend 1, awkwardly, "Jack, tough break, man." Jack, bitterly, "Do you believe it? My own wife, a nobody, turns out to own everything." Friend 2, forced laugh, "Well, karma's a bitch, huh?" The comment stung more than sympathy. Jack slammed his fist on the table. "Jack," raising his voice, "I'm not the villain here." The room fell silent. Bella, the owner, approached with a bottle of wine. "Bella," quietly, "Jack, maybe you should take some time off." No one echoed her. Jack swallowed the lump in his throat and left. Emotional undercurrent. Back in his loft, Jack paced. No consolations came. His world, built on Maria's support and goodwill, had collapsed in a single week. He realized, for the first time, the depth of his mistake. He had underestimated Maria's strength and the respect she commanded. Meanwhile, Maria watched from afar. In her sleek home office, she monitored Jack's social media mentions, winced at the cruelty but steeled herself with the knowledge that this was justice long overdue. By Wednesday, the story had gone national. Tabloids splashed husband exiled from home he never owned alongside paparazzi photos of Jack's stunned face. Business magazines ran exposés on Evans Enterprises' true ownership structure. Seen, Maria's composed press briefing. At 10 a.m., Maria held a press briefing in Evans Enterprises' glass-walled auditorium. Hundreds of journalists, cameras rolling, filled the room. Maria stepped to the podium in a charcoal pantsuit, hair pulled back, expression unreadable. Reporter 1, calling out, "Ms. Evans, did you plan Jack's public humiliation?" Maria, steady, "I planned no one's humiliation. I simply upheld the law and protected my livelihood." A flurry of cameras clicked. Maria continued. "Maria, Evans Enterprises' mission remains unchanged. We will continue serving our communities, expanding jobs, and supporting education initiatives. Personal matters have no bearing on our corporate responsibilities. Her composure drew admiration even from skeptical reporters. After the briefing, one cameraman muttered to another, "She's made of steel." Scene, Jack's tabloid interview. That afternoon, Jack sat under harsh studio lights for an overnight tabloid talk show. The host's smile was courteous but predatory. Host, Jack, you called your wife parasite and demanded she leave her own home. Any regrets? Jack, voice cracking, I regret letting my ego blind me. I was wrong. The admission sounded hollow on live TV. Social media exploded, #Jack Evans apology tour trending with mocking memes. Scene, viral social media frenzy. On Twitter, accounts dissected every frame of Jack's interview. On Instagram, both Maria and Jack saw thousands of tagged posts. She built it. He fell. When your partner owns the house. Maria allowed herself a private smile. This was catharsis, but she also recognized the danger. Jack's desperation could morph into vindictiveness. 2 days later, Jack showed up unannounced at Evans Enterprises headquarters. He paused in the lobby, eyes darting to the security cameras and corporate signage bearing Maria's name. Security guard, firmly, "Mr. Evans, you need an appointment." Jack ignored him and strode toward the elevator, pressing the button instinctively. On the 12th floor, Maria's personal assistant, Aisha, intercepted him outside Maria's office. "Aisha, quiet but firm, Mr. Evans, Maria asked that you schedule a meeting." Jack, defeated, "Please, let me see her." Aisha hesitated, then nodded. Inside her office, Maria looked up from her desk, hands clasped. Jack closed the door behind him. Silence stretched. "Jack," voice subdued Maria. "I'm sorry. I see now your strength, your vision. I was ashamed that you outshone me. I miss you." Maria leaned back. Her eyes glistened, but she remained cool. "Maria, you embarrassed me, belittled me, then exiled me. That isn't something easily forgiven." Jack winced. "Jack, I know. I was cruel. I thought I could reclaim my pride by tearing you down, but instead I lost everything." Maria studied him. "Maria, pride built on someone else's accomplishments is a house of cards. You chose humiliation over partnership." He swallowed hard. "Jack, if I could turn back time." Maria held up a hand. "Maria, you can't. But you can choose to change. I've lived through worse betrayals. I didn't collapse under pressure. Neither will you, without my help." Tears welled in Jack's eyes. "Jack, I'll do anything." Maria's jaw softened fractionally. "Maria, then start by respecting me, no, us. If you want to rebuild, do so without demands or ultimatums. Earn your place." Jack nodded vigorously. "Jack, I will." "Thank you." As he left, Maria exhaled. Forgiveness, she knew, would be a long road, if she chose it at all. Word of Jack's reconciliation plea spread quickly through the Evans family. That evening, Mrs. Helen Evans arrived unannounced at Maria's home. Helen's face held a mixture of relief, fear, and something else, guilt. "Helen, quietly, Maria." Maria sat in her living room, a plush gray armchair, hands folded. "Maria, I told Jack, respect or nothing." Helen sank into the sofa across from her. "Helen, he's willing. He's broken, more than I've ever seen him, because of what I said, what I did." Maria's gaze softened with surprising gentleness. "Maria, you tried to protect your son. I get it." Helen burst into tears. "Helen, I forgot he was my son before anything else. I'm so sorry for the pressure I put on you both." Maria rose and moved to kneel beside Helen, offering a tissue. "Maria, let's start over." Not for Jack's sake, but for ours. If you want a future with all of us, it must be built on respect. Helen nodded, tears falling. Helen, I understand. Thank you. Family dinner of reckoning. 2 nights later, Maria invited Jack and Helen for dinner at her place, no staff, just the 3 of them. The table was simple, roasted vegetables, grilled fish, and homemade fufu. Conversation began awkwardly but gradually opened. Jack, quietly, I miss the days we laughed over dinner. Maria, soft smile, me too. Helen, we'll get back there. They spoke late into the night, acknowledging hurts and voicing hopes. The veneer of wealth melted away, revealing shared vulnerability. It was the first genuine family moment in months. Despite tentative personal reconciliation, Jack's professional world continued to unravel. Scene, the partner walks away. At a mid-morning meeting in a sleek conference room, Jack faced his longtime partner, Alumide, formal Jack, I've enjoyed our collaboration these past 5 years, but I'm afraid I need to withdraw my shares in Springfield Logistics. Reputation matters. Jack slammed his palm on the table. Jack, you owe me loyalty. Alumide, shaking head, loyalty earned, not bought. I can't risk my reputation on this fiasco. Scene, clients cancel contracts. Emails and phone calls arrived in quick succession, clients citing strategic realignment, budgetary concerns, uncertainty about leadership. Each cancellation felt like another brick dropped on Jack's chest. Scene, the final board meeting. A week later, Jack convened the board of Evans Logistics, now majority owned by Maria's holding company. Maria entered with quiet authority, taking the chairman's seat. Jack stood beside her, shoulders hunched. Maria, ladies and gentlemen, as of last night, I have assumed full operational control of Evans Logistics. Jack will step down as CEO, effective immediately. I thank you for your service. Soft applause echoed as Jack slipped from the room without a word. Emotional fallout. Later, alone in his now empty office, Jack looked around at his framed degrees and accolades. They felt hollow. He realized this collapse was the culmination of every arrogant remark, every dismissive joke. Maria's perspective. Meanwhile, Maria walked the factory floor, greeting workers who cheered her name. Share prices stabilized. Investors called, not to pry into her personal life, but to congratulate her leadership. As she watched machines hum and employees smile, Maria felt a fierce satisfaction tempered by sadness. She had lost the man she once loved to his own hubris. The first unsettling knock came at dawn. Jack Evans, bleary-eyed from yet another sleepless night, peered through the peephole to see 2 sharply dressed men holding envelopes stamped "Final Notice." He opened the door warily. Collector 1, businesslike Mr. Evans, we're here regarding overdue payments on your Kauai property and vehicle leases. Jack, forcing calm eye. I'll have that settled by next week. Collector 2, cold, next week will be too late. These are our last attempts before repossession proceedings begin. They pressed the notices into his hand and left, their leather shoes clicking down the marble steps. Jack closed the door, stared at the envelopes in trembling fingers. Inside his once grand penthouse, the silence was deafening. Rows of unopened bills lay on the foyer table, mortgage arrears, car payments, utility surcharges. Each envelope felt like a weight pressing on his chest. He sank onto the sofa, dialed his accountant, Mr. Adedeo. Jack, strained Deo, I need options. Liquidate assets. Anything. Mr. Adedeo, hesitant Jack, your line of credit is maxed. The board froze your company accounts. You have no collateral left. Jack ran a hand through his hair, heart pounding. Jack, there must be something, sell the Jaguar, the art collection. Mr. Adedeo, those are tied up in legal claims by Mrs. Evans. You'll get nothing. Jack ended the call, head spinning. He flung himself at the glass coffee table. For the first time, he tasted true desperation. The Jaguar in the garage, once his pride, would soon be towed. The Coral Boo Villa? Foreclosure loomed. He grabbed his phone and scrolled through bank apps. 0 naira. His credit card declines when he tried to order food. Swallowing embarrassment, he walked to the kitchen and found a stale loaf of bread and half-empty peanut butter jar. He ate silently, each bite tasting of ash. Scene, the pawn shop. By mid-morning, Jack limped into a dingy pawn shop in Aishas, dragging a leather briefcase. Shopkeeper, eyeing the bag, what you got for me? Jack, voice low, a Jaeger-LeCoultre, work of art, 17-carat ring. He laid out his most precious possessions. The shopkeeper examined the ring under a loupe. Shopkeeper, nice piece. But we're in rough times. I can offer 50 million. Jack closed his eyes. Jack, give me the 50. He left clutching a paper bag of cash, far less than the ring's true worth, his dignity crumpled. Scene, the silent plea. Desperate, Jack dialed Maria's number. It rang to voicemail. He left a trembling message. Jack, voice breaking, Maria, I need your help. Please. He waited by his phone for hours. No call back. That afternoon, a meeting with his banker ended in a final refusal, no more extensions. As the bank manager slid the foreclosure notice across the mahogany desk, Jack realized his world was evaporating. At twilight, he returned to the penthouse to find movers outside, loading his furniture into trucks. He watched in numb horror as they dismantled his life, his leather sofa, the Persian rug, the oil paintings. A security guard approached. Guard, you have 10 minutes to gather personal items, Mr. Evans. Jack walked through each empty room, touching bare walls once decorated with his trophies and photos of a smiling couple. His reflection in the empty window looked foreign, gaunt, defeated. As the movers closed the doors, Jack stood alone on the sidewalk, the city lights flickering around him. Rain began to fall, soaking his suit. He realized this was rock bottom. And somewhere deep inside, a spark flared, a recognition that no amount of pride could replace hard work and genuine respect. In the days that followed, Jack took refuge in a small, sparsely furnished apartment in Suralire, a far cry from his penthouse view of the lagoon. The gray walls and bare floors mirrored his emptiness. He'd spent nights tossing on a thin mattress, haunted by memories of Maria's calm confidence. One morning, he rose before dawn and headed to the old Evans Enterprises workshop, now a subsidiary plant, where Maria had begun her business decades ago. He hesitated at the gates, then walked in, greeted by the hum of machinery and the scent of oiled metal. Line supervisor, surprised Mr. Evans? We weren't expecting you. Jack, quietly, I needed to see something. He strode down the assembly line, watching workers, many from his old social events, methodically fabricating components. He saw Maria's first interns, now plant managers, giving directions, solving problems with steady calm. Flashback montage. As he wandered, memories washed over him. Maria at a desk lit by a single lamp, poring over blueprints. Her pounding on doors of reluctant investors, pitching passionately. Her solitary trips to rural communities, learning local needs to tailor products. He realized every factory he oversaw as his was her brainchild. Every partnership he touted was underwritten by the vision she'd carved from scratch. Scene, a conversation with Aisha. At the end of the line, Aisha, Maria's loyal assistant, was organizing inventory. Jack approached her. Jack, tentative Aisha. Aisha, guarded Mr. Evans. Jack, tell me, how did Maria keep this all together? Aisha paused, choosing her words. Aisha, she never stopped learning. She visited every branch, learned every process. She treated everyone, from security to executive, with respect. That's why people believed in her. Jack blinked away a tear. Jack, all this time, I thought it was me guiding her. Aisha, you were her partner in name only. He nodded, humbled. Scene, the mirror moment. Later that day, Jack stood before a cracked bathroom mirror in his apartment. He studied the hollow gaze staring back. The man who prized image now recognized image meant nothing without substance. Jack, whispering I was arrogant, careless. He clenched his fists. This realization, painful as it was, felt like a lifeline. That night, he sat on the rooftop of his building, Lego slides sprawling below, and made a vow he would rebuild, not his image, but himself. And if Maria would let him, he would earn her respect anew. Word of Jack's transformation spread slowly through mutual acquaintances. One afternoon, a text arrived from Aisha. Aisha's text, meet me at Evans HQ, 3 p.m. It's about Maria. Jack arrived at the glass skyscraper with trepidation. He buzzed Aisha's extension. Security hesitated, but Aisha's steady voice overrode them. In Maria's private conference room, Aisha sat behind the mahogany table. Jack entered, awkward in his thrift shop blazer. Aisha, kindly thank you for coming. Jack, I owe you an apology. Aisha held up a hand. Aisha, this meeting isn't about you. It's about Maria's new initiative, the Evans Women's Empowerment Fund. We're launching next month, scholarships, microloans, mentorship for female entrepreneurs. Jack's eyes widened. Jack, she never mentioned this to me. Aisha, she wanted it to stand on its own merit. Thousands have already applied. Aisha slid a thick folder across the table, profiles of applicants whose lives would change. Jack thumbed through stories of single mothers, rural farmers, young inventors. Aisha, she invests in people, not projects. Jack realized how little he truly knew the woman he'd married. His chest tightened as respect and regret warred inside him. Jack, I want to help. Aisha studied him, eyes softening. Aisha, only if you do it without expecting credit. Jack nodded. Jack, just to see her vision succeed. Scene, the investor meeting. Together, they attended a meeting with key donors. Jack observed Maria from the back of the room as she presented the fund's goals, her voice steady, compassionate, authoritative. Investors leaned forward, enthralled. Jack felt pride swell, this time genuine, earned. Afterward, an influential board member approached Jack. Board member, good to see you working with Maria. She's the real deal. Jack exhaled, accepting praise through the lens of humility rather than ego. That evening, Jack returned home feeling lighter, his first steps toward redemption guided by Maria's ally, Aisha, whose loyalty illuminated the path he'd long ignored. A week later, Jack received an official summons, the divorce decree. Maria's attorney had scheduled a settlement meeting at her law firm, a modern glass building overlooking the lagoon. Jack arrived early, heart pounding, dressed in a simple shirt and slacks, no designer labels. Inside, Maria sat at a long table, radiating calm. Between them lay documents outlining asset division, custody of the joint charitable foundation, and non-disparagement clauses. Attorney, firm Mrs. Evans' proposal allows Mr. Evans 30% of his personal savings, currently minimal, and full custody of the car once leases conclude. Both parties waive claims to the business. Jack absorbed the terms. No alimony. No stake in Evans Enterprises. Jack, voice soft as this, fair? Maria looked at him with gentle firmness. Maria, we agreed, respect, not entitlement. We've both lost much. This is equitable. Tears glistened in Jack's eyes. Jack, I'm sorry. Maria, raising a hand, forgiveness isn't mine to grant. You must earn it. He nodded, fighting anguish. Attorney, if you both sign here. Jack dipped the pen over the signature line. Maria signed without hesitation. Scene, the walk outside. They emerged into the warm Lagos breeze. Maria in crisp white, Jack in subdued gray. For a moment, they stood still, two lives forever altered. Jack, quiet, thank you for everything. Maria, soft smile, take care of yourself, Jack. She turned and walked away, heels clicking on the marble plaza. Jack watched until she vanished into the traffic. Alone, he felt an ache deeper than loss, regret tempered by gratitude that she'd never abandoned her principles. Scene, Maria's triumph. 6 months later, Evans Enterprises unveiled its flagship innovation, solar-powered water purifiers designed for remote communities. Maria stood on stage at the launch conference, speaker's podium adorned with green foliage. Reporters, investors, and community leaders packed the hall. Maria, confident access to clean water is a human right. Today, we take a step toward that vision. Applause thundered. Cameras flashed. Investors queued to shake her hand. Her smile was radiant, a testament to resilience and steadfast purpose. Afterward, Maria joined Aisha in the lab, unveiling prototype models. Aisha, quiet pride, we did it. Maria, genuine warmth together. She thought of the tumultuous year, the humiliation, the betrayal, and realized every trial had forged a stronger legacy. Scene, Jack's rebirth. Meanwhile, Jack Evans leased a small office in Victoria Island. He launched Evans Advisory, a boutique consultancy aimed at helping struggling startups. Without Maria's backing, he hustled, cold calls, late-night strategy sessions, lean budgets. One afternoon, Jack presented to a fledgling tech team in a bare conference room. His confidence, now tempered by humility, resonated. Afterward, the team thanked him. Startup founder, Jack, your insights are gold. Thank you. Jack exhaled, pride gentle and earned. He caught sight of a magazine on the table, Maria Evans, Lagos leading visionary. He smiled with genuine admiration, not envy. Closing parallel. That evening, Lagos glowed under a violet dusk. Maria drove her electric SUV from the corporate campus to her lakeside home, the city's lights shimmering in her rearview. A new project loomed on her horizon, a partnership with international NGOs. At the same time, Jack sat on his modest balcony, sipping coffee and gazing at the skyline. He opened his laptop to draft a proposal for a new client. The wind carried the hum of the city's heartbeat. In separate worlds, they had both found new beginnings, Maria soaring on the wings of her unwavering vision, Jack rebuilding on the bedrock of hard-learned humility. Their paths would never cross again as they once had, but both knew that the greatest triumphs come not from entitlement, but from perseverance, respect, and the courage to reinvent oneself. And so, as Lagos lights flickered like distant stars, Maria and Jack each embraced the next chapter, wiser, stronger, and ready to write their own destinies. The end.